What do the following have in common? A fascinating Tetris with rocks fitting together in impossible ways. A paradise full of birds where the water is tinged pink. A colourful gift wrapped in forests and lakes. A geological treasure which, despite its small size, is the largest in the world. And a place with an aridity which enhances its beauty. The answer is that they all form part of the most spectacular natural spaces of Spain. Water, ice, and rain have modeled this place over millions of years into an amazing variety of shapes. It is a puzzle of rocks which surprises us with figures and compositions in impossible states of balance. This impressive karst landscape, which has been declared a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO, is the Torcal de Antequera. Also known as the Hell of Stone, the Torcal de Antequera is one of the most impressive examples of karst from anywhere in Europe. Karst is the result of the gradual continuous action of water on soluble rocks in a very unusual landscape characterized by gorges, canyons, abysses, caves, and sinkholes. Located in the center of the province of Malaga at an altitude of 1,200 meters, this impressive city of limestone rock of 20 square kilometers was a seabed during the Jurassic period. For 180 million years, the sediments originating from the skeletons and shells of animals accumulated in horizontal strata thousands of meters thick. On emerging owing to tectonic thrust 20 million years ago, the spectacular landscape of the Torcal was created by the erosion of water, ice, and wind upon the limestone. Relief forms with silhouettes as striking as they are capricious, which the human imagination transforms into figures. Of all these, there is no doubt that the tornillo, or screw, is the most emblematic. The natural landscape of the Torcal de Antequera owes its name to its torcas, or sinkholes, which are curious formations in the form of circular depressions. But the Torcal is not only a geological marvel which can be seen on the surface. Hidden underground, there are over 1,000 abysses and caves, some of which are more than 200 meters deep. Scarcely a fifth of this complex and inaccessible network has been explored. Following the paths and walking between their rocks means penetrating an exceptional geological universe. A landscape with an extraordinary variety of shapes and amazing biodiversity. Here, over 600 plant species can be found, some of which are endemic. The most significant community is that of the rock-dwelling plants which are adapted to living in cracks in the stone. Lichens, mosses, and ivy create fine images in combination with the limestone formations. The Torcal is one of the sites of the greatest geological, landscape, botanical and zoological interest in the whole of the Iberian Peninsula. Its fauna is rich in birds such as the griffon vulture, in reptiles, and in mammals such as the Spanish ibex, which is one of its icons. The Torcal de Antequera is a unique natural landscape, a magical setting which is known all over the world. Its beauty surprises the thousands of visitors who explore each year its labyrinthine twists and turns, small defiles, and fanciful stone formations. It's a gift offered to us by an ever-generous nature. A striking seam stands out against the black cliffs. Known as the Seixo Branco, white quartz in the Galician language, it is one of the most unusual geological formations on the Costa de Almeria. Here, the ocean bids farewell to the sea with a violent embrace. An extraordinary territory begins. The Biosphere Reserve of the Marinas Coruñesas and Tierras de Mandeo. This district, which is located in the province of La Coruña, brings together throughout its extensive surface area a great natural richness which coexists in harmony with its economic and cultural development. The rivers Mero and Mandeo and the Atlantic Ocean provide a wide variety of landscapes and ecosystems. Coasts, beaches, wetlands, estuaries, and riverside woodland. A land of contrasts, at times serene and delicate, and at others strong and vigorous. These steep cliffs serve as a refuge for migratory birds such as the shag. From here can be made out in the distance the unmistakable silhouette of the Tower of Hercules, the oldest Roman lighthouse in the world still in operation, although its exterior dates from the 18th century. Between the Seixo Branco and the tower lies the estuary of La Coruña, which has been formed by the mouth of the river Mero, an urban estuary alongside the capital of the province. A second estuary marks the orography of the Marinas Coruñesas, the estuary of Betanzos. Its beautiful beaches still include spots with a wild touch. These peculiar floating structures are a characteristic element of the estuaries of Galicia, which has become a heritage asset of the region, the mussel platforms. Beneath these wooden platforms hang hundreds of ropes to which the mussels adhere in a production method unique in the world, which has made Galicia one of the most important producers of this mollusk. Hiking and birdwatching are two of the main leisure activities in this biosphere reserve. Among the many bird species which can be found, the following stand out: the osprey, the great white egret, the great crested green, the lapwing, the spoonbill, and the redshank. The banks of the rivers are one of the most spectacular environments of the Marinas. An explosion of color covers the banks of the river Mondeo with its exuberant vegetation. Oaks, birches, ashes, and alders grow surrounded by ivy, mosses, and ferns. In this humid and shady environment, examples of paleotropical ferns still survive, living fossils which inhabited the European continent during the Tertiary period. The Biosphere Reserve of the Mariñas Coruñesas and Tierras de Mondeo is a sample of the best of Galicia. A set of surprisingly varied landscapes which will seduce us with their refreshing beauty. We still have many incredible places to visit, such as this romantic and refreshing river which will amaze you, a mysterious volcano which seems to have arisen out of nothing, and this surprising succession of lakes of turquoise waters. The mines of the Sierra del Aguiló on the east coast of Almeria have been exploited since Roman times. The extraction during the second half of the 19th century of lead, silver, and iron made this site one of the most important mining areas in Spain. The men who worked here may have come across fine crystals of gypsum on the walls on more than one occasion. However, they never discovered the great treasure which this area concealed. After having been exploited for decades, the Mina Rica was abandoned after the Spanish Civil War and gradually fell into oblivion. Until 1999, when a group of geologists made an exceptional find. On making a hole in a wall, they found the entry to a magical cave. A cavity full of beautiful crystals as transparent as ice. The interior of an immense geode, the largest in the world, the Geode de Pulpí. A geode is a closed rocky cavity with an interior covered with crystals. They are normally not difficult to find, unless their interior is 8 meters long by almost 2 meters wide and 2 meters high. The giant Geode de Pulpí was formed in 2 stages. A fracture in the rock created a cavity which little by little filled with hydrothermal fluids. Subsequently, stable conditions for thousands of years allowed the minerals to crystallize in its interior to finally form this impressive natural monument. The transparency, perfection, and size of its fine crystals of selenite, a translucent variety of gypsum, make this site unique in the world. These enormous crystals may reach a size of 2 meters. They were formed very slowly during the Pleistocene period, at least 165,000 years ago. The Geode de Pulpí was opened to the public in 2019 so as to give visitors the opportunity to get to know this impressive site. Exploring the Mina Rica to a depth of 60 meters where the geode is to be found allows the discovery of surprising nooks and crannies of this former mine. The numerous crystallizations which appear at various points of the mine, such as those which run along the Galería de Colas de Golondrina or Swallowtail Gallery, or the split geode, lead us to suspect that despite the grandness, delicacy and beauty of this incredible formation, the largest geode in the world may still await discovery. The waters of the river Piedra have defied the arid landscape of its surroundings to create a magical garden. This is such a beautiful spot that it was chosen by Cistercian monks in the 12th century as the ideal site for the construction of their monastery. An ecosystem with an amazing variety of plants and animals. An oasis of peace, which is only interrupted by the murmur of a river which seems to flow everywhere. Because despite the exuberant nature of the area, the water is here the main attraction. Spectacular waterfalls, grottos, pools, and lakes. This is the park or historic garden of the Monastery of Piedra. A stunning natural spot modeled by the hand of man. The Muntadas family bought this site in the 19th century and transformed it into a fine romantic garden in the style of the time. The magical atmosphere provided a source of inspiration for numerous artists and is nowadays visited by thousands of people each year. The route through the park includes a succession of surprising spots of great beauty. This rugged karst terrain has been eroded over time by the course of the river Piedra, which has created major differences in height, with imposing natural waterfalls such as that of the Cola de Caballo, or horse's tail. It falls 53 meters in a fascinating spectacle. Or La Caprichosa, the capricious one, a curtain of water of over 30 meters surrounded by luxuriant vegetation. At its foot, another small waterfall represents one of the most emblematic images of the park. The so-called Baño de Diana, or Diana's bath, in allusion to the Roman goddess of hunting. The actions of Juan Federico Muntadas in the area modeled the course of the river to create spaces such as the Trinity waterfall, which owes its name to the three shapes the water forms as it falls. The Iris waterfall, and the Lake of Mirrors, where the calm and coolness which pervade this spot can be enjoyed. Since the 16th century, the Cascada La Caprichosa has been the destination of many travelers, as according to legend, it could make wishes come true. If the visitors who nowadays visit the park of the Monastery of Piedra want to enjoy nature and the beauty of the water in all their splendor, their wish will surely be granted. In such a dry place, with hardly any trees, and where the bare rock is gradually disintegrating, how is it possible to find such beauty? Greys, ochres and reds combine in an undulating landscape sculpted in the rock. This is the desert of Gorafe, a matchless spectacle of shapes and colors which leaves no one indifferent. Thousands of silhouettes begin to appear, caressed by the sun of dawn. Crests and gullies, canyons, ravines, and watercourses. A semi-desert high plateau in the north of the province of Granada. A plain of clays which emerged after tens of millions of years underwater to create a large depression which has been fancifully modeled by erosion. These are the badlands, a rough, arid landscape which has been severely eroded by wind and water owing to its scanty vegetation. Millions of years ago, this site was a large inland lake which gradually filled up with sediment. When the basin opened up, the water disappeared to leave the sediment exposed to the action of the rivers, which made their way forward to create a lined and sinuous landscape. The desert of Gorafe is a labyrinth of watercourses, gullies and ravines, dry torrents and channels. The minerals encrusted in the clays create landscapes of surprising colors, such as the Cerro Banderas, which is one of the best spots from which to appreciate this chromatic richness which pervades everything. It is a multicolored hill formed by various sediments accumulated layer on layer. The landscape changes color from grays to ochres and to reds. The watercourse of Los Anchurones, with its steep ravines, is the main avenue of Gorafe. A winding canyon which runs through the desert from north to south. But if there is one area which stands out because of its surprising contrasts and tones, it is the Desierto de los Colorados. A rich palette of ochres, purples, reds, and yellows, which varies with the light of the day to create an imposing landscape. Its stark beauty recalls the Grand Canyon. The desert of Gorafe is one of the most outstanding landscapes of the geography of Spain. Despite its wide open spaces full of color, this arid and inaccessible place seems to remain unknown and unchanging, as if it were a secret. A series of lakes which follow one another over a distance of 30 kilometers. In their turn, they seem to compete with one another, owing to the beauty of their waters, which shine, flooded with shades of brilliant turquoise. It's an oasis of coolness in the middle of the Campo de Montiel, a high plateau halfway between Albacete and Ciudad Real. Over millennia, the water has modeled exceptional geological formations on this limestone land, making it, together with the lakes of Plitvice in Croatia, a unique landscape in Europe. This place, which dazzles us with its spectacular colors, is the nature reserve of the Lagunas de Ruidera. If there is an unusual element which characterizes the Lagunas de Ruidera, this is that of the travertinos. Tufaceous barriers formed by the accumulation of calcium carbonate, which separates certain lakes from others like natural dams. The rain, which is filtered through highly permeable limestone materials, gradually fills the aquifer of the Campo de Montiel, which overflows naturally at this point. Its waters loaded with carbonates have created a refreshing landscape with large pools which may be as much as 25 meters deep. An intricate system of lakes connected by underwater aquifers, which are, however, separated from each other by barriers of calcareous tuff. The lakes overflow the barriers between them to create torrents and waterfalls, some of which are as beautiful as this one, for which we know the date of birth. The Cascada del Hundimiento originated one day in 1545, when major floods caused the collapse of the terrain over which it now falls. The wetland has great biodiversity. Numerous species of aquatic birds make this habitat a migration stopover or nesting site. It's easy to observe, among others, species such as the moorhen, tufted duck, coot, mallard, and great crested grebe, which make the Lagunas de Ruidera an ideal place for bird lovers. It's also easy to find, on its banks covered by bulrushes and reeds, the kingfisher and cormorant. Holm oaks, junipers, and pines cover the outcrops and clefts, while riverside woodland grows on its humid soils. Water is ever present at the Lagunas de Ruidera. It emerges in the form of springs, streams, and waterfalls. It overflows lakes as torrents fall into their neighbors. It also hides underground to connect its pools in secret in an intricate network of aquifers which has been created over the centuries. In this close relationship between the limestone and the water, the latter benefits as it emerges on the surface loaded with minerals, more spectacular and full of color than ever. We've visited incredible places, but we still have many more to discover. A contest between woodlands and lakes with 2 winners awaits us. And the largest delta in Spain, a true paradise for bird lovers. Here, nature seems to be enjoying itself by twisting its shapes. Surrounded by deep, narrow valleys, the district of Las Hurdes proudly exhibits its steep, stark relief. Hidden between these landscapes of difficult access lies a disconcerting spot full of mystery. The volcano of El Gasco. Tons of molten rock, alleged to be formed by the activity of an extinct volcano, covered this enigmatic crater with a diameter of 50 meters. Nowadays, scarcely any pumice stone remains, as the inhabitants of the small village of El Gasco used it for making pipes and other handicrafts, or sold it for washing jeans. The research which has been carried out appears to rule out the theory that the molten material has a volcanic origin. A second and even more attractive theory sustains that it is the result of the impact of a meteorite. The heat of the collision melted the rock and hurled tons of stones over the surrounding area. There is, however, a third alternative which is considered to be the most probable. It does not involve the forces of nature, but rather the hand of man. The origin of the pumice stone of the volcano of El Gasco was a process known as vitrified fortification. It occurred during the Iron Age as a result of the intentional burning of human constructions of stone and wood. Moreover, abundant archaeological remains reveal the presence of a Celtic hill fort in this area. Holm oaks, strawberry trees, and cork oaks inhabit this site, which has been declared of scientific interest. It lies at the top of the Pico del Castillo with an altitude of 1,300 meters. The lichens and mosses which cover the surroundings, the pointed sheets of slate, and the fabulous views give this unusual volcano an almost magical charm. Opposite it, among the rocks, we come to the impressive waterfall of the Chorro de la Meancera. It is over 100 meters in height. Its waters fall step by step down the rock stairway. A dizzying descent carries the water to the river Malveído, which describes a series of meanders of great beauty. Terraces and small stone walls of former constructions of popular architecture adapt to the zigzagging of the water. But if in Las Hurdes there is one place where a watercourse creates an unforgettable landscape, it is the Meandro del Melero. It is an almost complete circumference of the River Alagón, located in the province of Salamanca, but with the best views from the province of Cáceres. The district of Las Hurdes leaves no one indifferent with its spectacular spots. And mysterious or surprising ones such as the volcano of El Gasco. A curious place full of uncertainties, but one thing is sure. It is a natural space like no other. The Costa Cálida, or warm coast, is a symphony of cliffs, coves, and beaches where the transparent waters of the Mediterranean meet to flood the shore of the province of Murcia with lovely shades of colour. At the foot of the Sierra de las Moreras, in the municipality of Bolnuevo, can be found one of the most unusual landscapes of southeast Spain. Curious formations which appear to come from another planet. Las Gredas de Bolnuevo. Greda is a sandy clay of a bluish-white color. It is highly appreciated in pottery, but here has been molded by the hands of the wind. The erosion of the sandstone over the centuries has created these vertical structures similar to mushrooms, which appear to defy the laws of gravity. This magical place is also known as the enchanted city of Bolnuevo. The air, which has at times been loaded with particles of water and sand, has created these amazing natural sculptures which have been heavily eroded. Their origin goes back to the Pliocene epoch, when the Straits of Gibraltar were formed 5 million years ago. Water entering from the Atlantic Ocean led to the rising of the level of the Mediterranean Sea. The ocean currents transported materials which were gradually deposited and compacted. The subsequent movements of underwater tectonic plates led to the withdrawal of the sea to leave these sediments exposed on the surface, where wind and water erosion took charge of giving it its peculiar shapes. These layers of sediments, which were formed beneath the waters of the Mediterranean, contain many fossils of mollusks, crustaceans, and microfossils of an antiquity of several million years. Despite their small size, the Gredas de Bolnuevo constitute an exceptional district. A surprising space of ephemeral beauty. Its fragile formations lined with striations, wounds resulting from its determination to survive the wind which shaped them, remind us that the same force which has modeled them will one day make them disappear. This is one of the best preserved natural areas of the Principality of Asturias. A privileged place in which upland, forest, the meadows known as brañas, and lakes intertwine to create beautiful landscapes inhabited by an extraordinary fauna and flora. The Nature Reserve of Somiedo. Located in the center of the Cantabrian Mountains, the Somiedo Nature Reserve is crossed by 4 valleys: Somiedo, Pigüeña, Saliencia, and Valle del Lago, in which run the rivers which give them their names. Its rugged orography, which ranges from 400 to 2,200 meters in altitude, its well-preserved vegetation, and its low human population has made it an exceptional place of refuge for certain animals such as the brown bear of Cantabria. With its 2 meters in length and up to 200 kilos in weight, it is the largest animal of the Iberian fauna. It may live between 25 and 30 years in the wild. This endangered species has an important population in Somiedo. This biosphere reserve holds a wide variety of flora and fauna, including all the large mammals of the Cantabrian coast, many types of birds, and over 1,000 species of plants and fungi. A great diversity of woodland, the result of the varying altitude of the terrain, covers 1/4 of the surface area of the reserve. The beech forests, which give the valley sides beautiful colors, are particularly abundant. The main economic activity of Somiedo has been and continues to be the rearing of livestock. The Brañas, high mountain meadows, hold a rich heritage of rural architecture, that of the Teitos. These stone constructions with roofs of broom were used by shepherds in the hottest months when they took their animals in search of these pastures. The Teitos form the most important series of constructions with roofs of vegetation in Western Europe. But if there is one thing which constitutes the distinguishing mark of Somiedo, it is its lakes. Located in a spectacular glacial cirque, the Lago del Valle is the largest lake of all. The Lagos of Saliencia lie in the heart of the reserve. These 4 lakes of glacial origin are the result of the erosion of the ice on the calcareous rock. The embrace of the mountains which flank them and their spectacular colors make for a fascinating landscape. The series of the lakes of Somiedo has been declared a natural monument. It is one of the many attractions of this matchless environment. This place holds a rich rural heritage and is at the same time a paradise of biodiversity in which to enjoy unspoilt nature. After flowing for over 900 kilometers, the waters of the river Ebro open to the sea in the province of Tarragona to create one of the most important aquatic habitats of the Western Mediterranean. A place where the natural heritage and agricultural exploitation provide shelter and food to over 300 species of birds. This environment of dunes, marshes, beaches and crops is the nature reserve of the Delta del Ebro. With a surface area of 320 square kilometers, the Ebro creates at its mouth the 3rd largest delta in the Mediterranean. The sediments swept along by the river have created this arrow-shaped territory which penetrates 22 kilometers into the sea. A space with a great variety of habitats which has been declared a biosphere reserve by the UNESCO. Over half the species of birds which exist all over Europe pass through here. The waters of the Ebro form a great wetland on these plains. Its fertile soils have allowed the planting of extensive rice fields. The delta has been exploited by man for centuries. The salt flats and the fishing were the basis of the economy of this territory until the arrival of rice in the 19th century. Today, 75% of its surface area is under cultivation. Rice is not only the main protagonist, but also the bioregulator of this ecosystem. Its cycle marks the fluctuations of the populations of fauna. Many birds have modified their behavior, delaying their nesting so as to adjust the hatching of their young to the period of the ripening of the rice field. Water originating from these crops has created some freshwater pools in the Delta del Ebro. Around them, a highly characteristic vegetation grows, mainly of reed beds, to form one of the most attractive lakeside landscapes of the Mediterranean. At its eastern end, long beaches of fine sand have produced the most extensive landscape of dunes on the coast of Catalonia. Some are fixed dunes covered with vegetation, while others move according to the winds and their proximity to the sea. The Delta del Ebro is a paradise for birds. About 100 species nest here, but many more feed or spend the winter in these wetlands. Ducks and geese, glossy ibises, herons, although the most spectacular image is that of the major concentrations of flamingos, which in winter may contain over 20,000 individuals. Their pink coloring, their long legs, and their curved bills make them unmistakable. These beautiful birds are one of the main attractions for tourists visiting the area. There is no doubt that observing them at any of the pools of the Delta del Ebro at dusk is an unforgettable experience. In our next program, we will travel to new, incredible natural spaces, such as this extensive African savanna, very Mediterranean. A river of impossible colors which seems to come from another planet. A fascinating landscape created by the ambition of the largest Western empire. And these impressive cliffs, which are considered to be the gateway to hell itself. You won't want to miss it.